Evening was falling. Thick fog rolled in from the river, slowly swallowing the road. A late traveler trudged along, hunched and weary, his head bowed in sorrow. His parents had died of the plague that swept mercilessly through the land. The plague would knock on doors, disguised as a beautiful young woman. People let her in, and immediately fell ill. She would leave the house as a terrifying old crone, her laughter creaking like rotting wood. The young man worked as a laborer for a cruel landowner, hauling sacks of flour from dawn till dusk. And while he was away, the plague crept into his home. When he returned, his father lay dying, and with his final breath whispered, "The plague was here. Farewell, my son. Farewell, Danko." And he died in his arms. Grief-stricken, Danko could no longer bear to stay in that house. He wandered away from the town, broken and silent, with no destination, only away.
In the midst of a cursed, forgotten land, he walked alone with trembling hands, lost his home, lost his name, running.
A young man walks alone along a misty forest path, grief-stricken and lost. Suddenly an enormous, fat serpent slithers out in front of him, hissing and glaring with glowing eyes. The snake raises its head, speaking in a sly, rasping voice. "Young man, where are you headed?" Startled, he pauses, trembling, but answers, "I'm fleeing the plague." His legs shake with fear. The atmosphere is tense, the forest silent and heavy, with fog curling through the twisted trees. As he walked on, suddenly a huge, fat serpent slithered out to meet him, hissing and flashing its glowing eyes. "Young man, where are you headed?" it hissed. He was taken aback, but answered, "I'm running from the plague," though his knees were trembling. "Well, I know how to save you from the plague. Marry me, or it will catch you too. And if it doesn't, I'll eat you." Danko grew even more frightened upon hearing those words. There seemed to be no way out. He didn't even have a knife. There was no way he could defeat such a monster. "Well, what's done is done. Let's go. I'll marry you," he sighed. And the serpent led him onward. "Whoever heard of marrying a snake?" he muttered to himself as he walked, watching her glistening coils roll along in the moonlight. They reached a mountain, and before them opened a great chasm. The serpent stretched herself across to the other side, forming a living bridge. "Walk across me," she commanded. What could he do? Danko stepped onto her slippery skin, and below him the abyss yawned wide like a mouth ready to swallow him. "Be brave," the serpent called. He closed his eyes, stood up, and in one swift motion, the serpent tossed him across and caught him safely on the other side. Following the magical serpent along the narrow path, he was suddenly blinded by a brilliant light, shifting from green to red to yellow to blue. "How beautiful! What is that?" gasped Danko. And then he saw, in the distance, a magnificent palace made of glittering gemstones. The gates swung open before them, and golden trumpets sounded in welcome. Danko couldn't resist anymore. He rushed to the table, grabbing chunks of meat and fish with trembling hands, biting into fruits, and tossing them aside in a frenzy to taste it all before his stomach exploded. The serpent, watching him, chuckled softly. To Danko the sound seemed like an angry hiss, like she might devour him any second. But he paid no mind and kept devouring the feast. Everything tasted so good. "If I'm going to die, at least let me die happy," he thought. Then he heard it, the deep tolling of the midnight bell. Still chewing, he turned around and froze. The serpent's skin was sliding off, and in her place stood a young woman of stunning beauty. Who are you? Danko gasped. The bite of food dropped from his mouth. I'm Yulka, daughter of the Serpent King, she said, smiling. I liked you right away. Lucky I ran into you. I was out picking raspberries, and there you were. Fate. Not many humans pass through our forest. And what if I'd been old, lame, and hunched over? I would have eaten you, she replied casually with a giggle. Anyway, future husband, come. Let me introduce you to my father. Danko nodded and followed her. Yulka tugged him by the hand and led him into the throne hall, bursting with people dressed in such wild and colorful costumes it made his eyes blur. At the center, the Serpent King lounged on a crystal throne, feeding frogs to a young leopard on his lap. An emerald crown shaped like a snake rested on his head. Everyone turned as the couple entered and immediately bowed low. Oh, look at that! Yulka's back, the king called out. Didn't bring raspberries this time, but a groom. Well done, my girl. Laughter echoed around the hall at the king's wit. Yulka spun happily in her brocade gown, then nudged Danko in the shoulder. But I have one condition, the king said, raising a finger. Oh, Papa, Yulka whined, pouting. Here we go again with your conditions. 1,000 years ago, I found a perfectly good woodcutter, and you told him he had to reach the moon. Of course he failed, and I ended up single. Are you really going to ruin it for me again? But I have one condition. The king raised his finger. Oh, Dad, Yulka whined, frowning sulkily. You and your conditions again. 1,000 years ago, I found a perfectly good woodcutter. And what did you do? You made him get to the moon. Of course he failed, and I ended up husbandless. Are you trying to ruin everything again? Come on, sweetheart. I'm the king. I'm just trying to find you a decent man. Why settle for a loser? All right, here's the deal. He has to learn how to turn into a snake. A wave of relief swept through the hall. That was doable. And at least Yulka wouldn't be spitting venom at everyone from sheer frustration. Danko spread his arms in confusion. Yulka, I'm human. How am I supposed to turn into a snake? I don't know how. Ask your father to give me something easier, like unloading a mountain of sacks, plowing a field, sowing wheat. Yulka burst out laughing. Sow a field. You're a prince now. A prince doesn't plow. Transforming's easy. I'll teach you. It'll hurt at first, but you'll get used to it. With that, she grabbed his hand and pulled him away, leaving the courtiers to chew over the news. Meanwhile, the Snake King calmly continued feeding squeaking frogs to his cat.
From a plague without shame, then through the dark she came to him, eyes like fire, scales that gleamed. Marry me, the serpent hissed, or the plague will steal your final kiss. Oh, serpent,